For decades, the Incredible Hulk has served as one of Marvel's flagship characters and most iconic heroes, and throughout the course of his time, his supporting cast of Gamma-based characters has grown exponentially, while the likes of Jennifer Walters, Rick Jones, and Emil Blonsky are all iconic characters in their own right. Perhaps the next most recognizable Hulk is the Red counterpart, otherwise known as General Thaddeus Ross, Red Hulk, who has opposed the Hulk for years. Recently, it was announced that Ross will be recast after the tragic passing of William Hurt, and the character will have a future arc throughout not only Captain America: New World Order, but the Thunderbolts project and potentially beyond. So, stick with us today, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, and let's discuss the origins of the Red Hulk and explore how this might be adapted into the MCU, including theorizing about the role that Ross will play in his next few appearances based on what we went through in the original storyline, and how the comics could reflect the big screen. Let's begin with talking about what we currently know about this character's whereabouts, and then explore how this compares to the comics. According to recent leaks, we can infer that Ross is no longer an official government agent, but is instead a civilian who maintains powerful military contacts and still has several private resources at his disposal. However, there is also another theory going around that Ross is actually the President of the United States. When we last saw General Ross, he incarcerated Sam for his actions during the events of Civil War, and producer Nate Moore has expressed his enthusiasm for the development of this natural conflict. What is even more compelling, however, is the return of Tim Blake Nelson in the role of Samuel Stearns, otherwise known as the Leader, which might spell more consequences for Ross than we were previously led to believe. In the comics, Ross exposed himself to the experimentation as a result of his inadequacy in comparison to the Hulk, and his inability to stand up to the Green Goliath in combat, but in the MCU, this doesn't seem to make much sense anymore. The current iteration of the MCU's Hulk is much more tame and far less destructive than his counterpart in the early days, and if Ross was going to perform this experiment on himself in order to contend with the Hulk, he likely would have done this by now. So then, how might this need to be adjusted? The events of his transformation are directly tied into the Planet Hulk storyline, which we saw transpire in Thor Ragnarok, and the ramifications of which were further explored in the She-Hulk series finale. After the banishment of the Hulk, Betty Ross was killed by a rogue abomination, and sent Ross spiraling into a pit of grief and aimlessness, driving him to alcoholism and severe depression. This could be hinting at the death of Betty Ross in the MCU, who has not been seen since 2008, and it might explain Ross's ultimate retirement from the military under much darker circumstances. If he is in a dark place, then the MCU might pull from the subsequent World War Hulk storyline in order to introduce the Red Hulk. It's all been but confirmed that the Hulk is getting his own solo film within the next few years, thanks to the finale of She-Hulk, and the World War Hulk storyline seems to be one of the likeliest sources of inspiration. On the cusp of the Hulk's return, he was approached by none other than Samuel Stearns, the Leader himself, in search of aid. The duo warned Ross that the Hulk was about to return, and that he would begin a quest of vengeance against the people who exiled him, and the Leader, with MODOK's assistance, as well as the return of Ross's daughter in exchange for his help. In the World War Hulk storyline, Ross fought against the Hulk on his revenge quest, and helped the Leader to keep the Hulk in check, and when the Hulk was ultimately apprehended, they used his gamma energy to transform Ross. At this point, he secretly underwent the transformation that would turn him into the Red Hulk, setting into motion a new career as an anti-hero. We know that at the end of She-Hulk, a sample of Jennifer Walters' blood had made its way into the hands of intelligentsia, and it is presumably still out there, somewhere in the universe, which could serve as the catalyst for Ross's transformation to the Red Hulk. It is also important, however, to address that She-Hulk's finale and the ambiguity behind it. At the end of the series, she broke the fourth wall, and had the ending of her own show rewritten to avoid the final conflict. It is, however, unclear how much happened and how much is still canon, but as of now, this storyline is still very much open. While the Hulk King didn't become a Hulk in his own right, her blood might still be in the wild, and this is supported by the fact that in the comics, this trio was initially known as intelligentsia. Even if her own blood doesn't directly help to transform Ross, we know that Stearns did extensive research before turning into the Leader, going so far as to create the Abomination, and it's perfectly reasonable to believe that he would facilitate the transformation of the Red Hulk. Is it possible that in the MCU, he will be prompted by the appearance of Samuel Stearns, much like he was in the original source material? If Ross is in a dark place and learns of the appearance of Scar, the son of his elusive enemy from another planet, as well as the arrival of the She-Hulk, then he might be incentivized to take the leader up on his offer and become the Red Hulk. This could pit Ross against Sam Wilson for the duration of this project, and when the Thunderbolts project ultimately arises, he just might join the ranks of them himself. We know that Val is the current acting director of the CIA, and will likely act as a handler of sorts for the Thunderbolts, taking this position from Ross. Yet the fact that they are called the Thunderbolts indicates that he will still assume some type of leadership role. As of now, Ross's inclusion in the original Planet Hulk and World War Hulk saga seems to paint similarities to his current status in the MCU. And it stands to reason that his arc in the MCU might closely mirror his original comic book storyline. But anyway, my friends, do you think this origin will be carried over into the MCU? And if so, does that mean that Betty Ross just might be dead in the MCU as well? And we as an audience, or perhaps even Bruce Banner, have yet to realize it? Or do you believe that he'll play a different role in the next MCU outing? Do you think that the Red Hulk is going to be the main antagonist in New World Order? And do you believe that, as reported, Ross will undergo this transformation in New World Order into the Red Hulk, and potentially even be among the ranks of the Thunderbolts? How much of a role do you think the Red Hulk will play moving forward? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and I hope that you have a great day.